Welcome to Command Control Power, the longest-running Apple consulting podcast. For over a decade, we've delivered weekly episodes filled with epic tech support stories, troubleshooting insights, discussions about managing clients and businesses, and interviews with industry colleagues and vendors, all tailored for our pro listeners. We also offer exclusive content through Patreon. This private podcast feed is designed specifically for IT professionals, providing valuable advice and guidance on tackling the more complex aspects of running your practice, working with clients and employees, and managing device fleets. With a modest monthly contribution, you'll gain access to a wealth of advanced Apple expertise, meaningful connections, and a community driven by a shared passion for Apple technology. Visit commandcontrolpower.com and click support to learn more. And now, on to the show.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Command Control Power. It's just me and Jerry. Hey, Jerry, how's it going in your world?
You and me against the world, Joe, is what it is. I don't know. I'm filled with annoyances.
Okay.
When you get to be my age, the big thing is prescriptions. When you're young and youthful like yourself, you don't have to worry about prescriptions. But in this particular case, it was a dermatological prescription.
Okay.
I'll just make this brief for our listeners. Of course, if you're watching at home on YouTube, you could see that this beautiful complexion that comes at a cost. It takes a team of people to keep me looking this youthful. So I switched providers for dermatology services. And so I was at the end of a script with the old provider. So I call the new provider and I tell them that they need to reach out to CVS Caremark because I have everything delivered through the mail. So it avoids me the hassle of standing in line at the pharmacy. Have you done this recently in your world, Joe? Stood in line at the pharmacy?
Yeah, I've stood in line. As you mentioned, as youthful as I am, although I don't feel that way so much lately, but I don't have a lot of need for prescriptions. But when I do, my wife works in a plaza where there's a pharmacy in the grocery store, so she'll just pick it up for me after her work shift ends.
Gotcha. Okay.
I've had to wait, and she's waited a little bit. But yeah, it hasn't been terrible, but it's always a risk you're being exposed to more crap when you're standing in line with a bunch of people waiting for prescriptions.
It's something akin to going to the motor vehicle. If you ever wait in line in motor vehicle, it's most of those people that if they're not in line at the motor vehicle, they're getting a script somewhere. And have you ever noticed that people with like BMWs and Teslas, like Sam, rich people like that, they don't go to the motor vehicle or they don't go stand in line for prescription. They must have that.
What do they do? They have people wait for them?
People.
Or
They have people do that.
They have people for that, yeah.
All right. So getting back to my story. So no less than 2 phone calls over successive days. I see nothing in Caremark and CVS Caremark for this re-up on the script. And I was assured by the dermatologist's office, we called it in. And if you have an issue, you just have to reach out to Caremark. Now the burden is on me because they figured that they've washed their hands of it. But the person that you're talking to didn't do the work. It's someone else that they hand off to.
Sure.
And so, on my second call, I said, look, CVS Caremark, they update their records within 24 hours. I can assure you this was never called in. Oh, we called it in. It says right here, we called it in. So now I've just checked. It's several days later. It's after the holiday. It's still not there. I've got to make a third call to this doctor's office and try to talk to them again. And you try to keep your cool, but it gets really frustrating. And then the other thing to bring us around to tech is like when you communicate with these services, whether it's your doctor's office and you're texting or you're communicating with some sort of a web service, you don't even know if you're talking to a bot or not in most cases. Right. So this brings me back to our long-standing saga of Amazon and trying to get my affiliate count going.
Okay.
Now, the last time we left if you recall, I recommended a hosting service and I said, I've got it all worked out with Amazon affiliate and I know how to I read the terms of service now, and I know how I can navigate the waters. And in short, you can't send people private links with your Amazon affiliate code. You have to put up a website and then direct them through that. So I knew all that. I established a new email address associated with the account. I put up this beautiful website, single page, referring clients to my products. And you make a pittance, right? You'll testify to this. You make about $1.50. You sell a $300 HP printer and you made $2.50, right?
Yeah.
So I look and I'm not getting any affiliate money, and it stopped again, right? So I reach out to them through their texting. That's the only way you could talk to somebody from Amazon affiliates. And this whole time, I don't know whether I was talking to a bot or not, but this person who was scripting me back said, "Oh, no, we sent you another notification back in January." And I said, I don't know about that, because and I went through the whole saga that our listeners have heard if you follow along regularly with the show, where I reestablished it and I'm following all the rules, and I want to play in your basketball court now, and I'm going to use your ball, and I know exactly what to do. And they're like, "We're sorry, we can't do anything for you." So here I had prepaid for this Hostinger account for several years. It was like this deal, right? And I had this website called bestapplemacgear.com, right? So at this point, they are dead to me. Absolutely dead to me. I have nothing. I don't want to make their money. I don't want their money. I'll still, if I need to send a client to Amazon, I will. It's not like I have a grudge, but I'm not going to participate in this program anymore. I'm absolutely done with it. And I don't care.
Man.
Yeah. And this is probably my third or fourth go round. Admittedly, the first couple of times I didn't figure it out. Now I had it all figured out. And I know you've got a website up there, Joe. And so what happened with yours? Do you see that you're getting any affiliate revenue that's coming in?
I'm glad you asked. I had a note on my list here because we talked about this in a show recorded in January 2025. So I think just a few beginning of the year is when I switched over to having, like you're describing, a web page that's going to list all my links, because I never realized years ago that I couldn't just send those links. I made a little URL shortener for myself where I could just type an address with a slash at the end and then paste in the Amazon page, like the product page, and it would create the link for me automatically, like include my little affiliate code at the end and whatever. So I could just send people a link directly. So I thought this was like a genius idea. Whenever I'm sending somebody a link to a printer or a hard drive, whatever it is, I'm always researching it first. And maybe I'm going back to the last time I recommended that thing, and I'm just finding that note where I sent the last client the printer recommendation that I researched at that time, and getting the little Amazon link and copying and pasting into a new email. I thought this was great. Every time I send an Amazon link, I might as well include my affiliate code. Like you said, it doesn't work that way. And I think not only do they not give you credit for those links, but if they find that people, like too many people are getting one of those links and not enough people are like originating from your website, essentially, they might even pull you out of the program. And I guess that's what you're saying happened to you. I don't know if that's the instance most recently. Certainly it happened to both of us in the past where we were dropped from the program. That happened to me once years ago, and I re-enrolled in the program, and I still hadn't learned my lesson. I still didn't realize at that time that you have to, like you're describing now, very definitively, you have to link from a website. Amazon has to be able to see through probably some automated system that the person who ended up at your affiliate link had a referring link to an actual website where you're recommending this stuff, not just in an email. I don't know why. I guess it's to keep it on the up and up that there's a page that you're maintaining that's linking people to Amazon, that you're not just maybe, I imagine a way you can game the system otherwise is like we're doing. Every time I send an Amazon link, just make it an affiliate link. For whatever reason, they don't want you to be able to do that because maybe you'd abuse the system, or maybe you'd write a little extension for Safari that's going to change every single instance of an Amazon link to your affiliate link. I'm not sure, but they want you to come from an actual website. So starting at the beginning of this year, I had that website up and running, and I've only used that. So now instead of linking my clients to, here's the printer I recommend, friendly Amazon link, I have a thing that says, I recommend the printer model, whatever, found at the top of this link, and I include my link to my website.
Yeah, and that was my intention to do it that way. Go ahead. It's perfect.
Yeah, so exactly. I thought that would get around it, and I think it has so far, and I'll share some numbers with you, and we'll see if this starts to, I think it's moving in the right direction. And the other thing is I'll include like anchor links. So I have like my cymac.com/recommendations. That's my little page for all my recommendations. I'll add an anchor link to a section, and basically that's the little number sign. So I forget the HTML code for this, but basically you put that code in the top of that section for hard drives, or I'm trying to think what else, printers, whatever, power, like for these EcoFlow products I recommend for battery backups, et cetera. So now I can link people to that section. So I don't need to say, go to this recommendations page and scroll down to the bottom. I just link them to this section that's going to have, in my case, like if I'm recommending a hard drive, it's got the SSD and the standard hard drive. And I just tell them in my email, select the SanDisk G Drive ARM or whatever, 2 terabyte size from this link, so that they go to my page and they click the link. So last year, here's some numbers. Last year, I made a total of $294.97 through the Amazon affiliate program over the whole year. So that works out to about $24, almost $25 per month. So then if I look at this year to date, let's see here. This is through May. Of course, this is a trailing indicator because, because basically like I didn't start this until January, and then it's like you get paid a month after the sales, I think, something like that. So let's see if this is starting to trend up at all. So divided by 5 months, it's about exactly the same. So the answer is per month, right. I haven't moved the needle, but this again, this was on my list to check in with you and Sam to see if we, especially you and I, are making any progress on this with the new page.
You've already won the contest because they bumped me out. Now, if you had more of a generic site like bestapplemacgear.com, by the way, that's available now, I would point my clients to you. But I can't point him to your consultancy because that would be just like, how bad do I want to make it?
Yeah, exactly. I have it on my site, so then they're going to get upsold to my consulting services too. But I have it in my menu on my website in case anybody wants to find their way there. I figure probably very few people are.
So once again, I was chiseled by Amazon. I don't want to play their reindeer games anymore. So I had this account with Hostinger. I went back in and got a domain on GoDaddy. Don't shame me for using GoDaddy. And I'm still going to use the Hostinger web page hosting for a single page for my new affiliate link, which I've been using for years now. And that is, here we go. So there it is, getmacbackup.com.
Nice.
And we'll put in the ding post-production. Listeners, point yourself to getmacbackup.com. And there's my Backblaze affiliate site in a single page, couple of clicks, try for free. And and so I'm going to try to at least have it pay for my hosting and try to get it indexed on Google.
It's a good goal.
But I'm shaking my fist in Amazon. it's disgusting. Oh, and by the way, my good friend in ChatGPT, Sam isn't here to make fun of me for my friend ChatGPT, but ChatGPT generated all the HTML code that you see at getmacbackup.com.
Yeah, it's a good site. I'm looking at it now. I looked at it when you sent it about a week ago. Yeah, it's formatted very nicely. I think it's great.
And that was done in, I would say, less than 5 minutes. It generated the HTML code. And most recently, I've been putting a couple of things around the house for sale on eBay. And one of the biggest hassles for me with eBay was working on the listing, wording the listing correctly. And I like to make them nice. I don't like to just throw some text up there with eBay. So I would try to generate some HTML code. My good friend ChatGPT, they do that in a heartbeat too. And it's absolutely fantastic because I figure if I don't sell this stuff now, when I go, my wife's going to be selling this stuff for $10 and $15 at a tag sale, and somebody's going to make a hell of a deal. So I'm trying to make some money for the family before my time has come.
Nice.
I say that very cheekily. Hopefully I'm, knock on wood.
You got many more years, especially if you keep paying attention to your skin and using SPF on your. Yeah, exactly. You're doing great, Jerry. You just keep at it. You're right though that you have the knowledge of what this stuff is worth, and you can maximize the value by doing it. But if you're spending half your time writing this stuff yourself, you're wasting a lot of that profit by spending your time to do it. So yeah, ChatGPT is a great use case there. I used it for the first time in developing a little graphic image thing for my website. I look at my site from time to time and I think about, how does this present to my clients? Is this really selling my services properly? Is it as clean as I'd like? Is the wording good? Looking at the rates and things as well. And I went to my site a few days ago and I thought, this is just a lot of text. I could benefit from having a little image here that just recaps the heart of it. And I envisioned it as like a document icon, type thing that had a little page curl thing and then listed the bullet points basically. So it's just break up the wall of text a little bit and have a little nicely formatted image. And I thought I could create this in Photoshop, but what would Jerry do, right? This is it's like reminding myself, what would Jerry do about how would he invoke ChatGPT to help with this? So I just went right to ChatGPT and I described what I wanted. Make me a document, make me an image to use selling my Apple technology consulting services, recapping my managed service plan. The image should be, and these details come from a little bit of trial and error, but the image should be a PNG on a transparent background because the first effort was a JPEG with a white background. And so that's not exact. I could fix that, but let me just build this into my little prompt. And the bullet point should be, and I just listed what I wanted. Okay, and then refinement was make this line of text wrap to the next line. Okay, cool. So now it looks a little bit better and perfect. It took me 10 minutes of just prompting and waiting and prompting. And now I've got my image and I stuck it on my site. Easy peasy. So it's a great example of where ChatGPT can take your vision and just quickly give you a result that's pretty much good to go. I would have sat there and I would have tweaked it in Photoshop extra carefully. I would have played a little bit more with the formatting and things, but it's like good enough. And I didn't have to open Photoshop and manually, like an animal, copy and paste text and figure out a document icon background. It just knew what I meant and it created it. You know what's funny though is it keeps changing as you prompt it again. Now suddenly the things I liked about the first output like forgot about that. And so I had to go back and say, hey, make it like use the textured paper like coloration from the first image, but with these refinements. It's like you have to remind it what you liked and what you didn't like.
Yeah. That's a great point. And I have found that generating documents like you describe, sometimes it gets worse and worse. So it's almost like the first iteration is the best. And then if you try to tweak it, you have to be very careful. It's building a stew on the stove. And they say if you add too many ingredients, it starts to taste bad and it'll turn. That's the same way. I'm sure they'll work the kinks out of ChatGPT. And again, this is a paid account. Because the reason why I ended up with a paid account was I was annoyed with the time limitations because I would use it and then I would hit that barrier where I'd have to wait another like 8 hours before I could use it again. So it's a very small price to pay. And I bought it through the App Store.
Okay.
So it was a little bit less, $5 less. And I mentioned on the show that I actually established it under a personal account email rather than a business. Because if it sniffs out you're a business, I think they charge you just a little bit more.
Okay.
And that may have changed. But yeah, overall, I can't tell you the amount of time in Text Expander. Sometimes you get those emails about how much time it saved you. ChatGPT has saved me days so far. Oh, yeah. Days of messing around. I was thinking some other words I wasn't going to say because this is a family show. Just like you say, like with the pictures and formatting and changing the format and the size. And so it's really been a boon to my work. That's the one thing that I think has been like revolutionary for me.
Yeah. Examples like the one I gave, I'm really trying to just force myself to use it more so I can become more comfortable with it. Oh, it's interesting. This is how long it takes to generate an image. Is that normal? Like, it's just, you get to a level of familiarity with the tool just by using it, and then it becomes more habitual. I haven't hit that yet where I'm really returning to it multiple times per day, but I'm trying to think of use cases for it. Like I gave examples recently about just something I would have Googled for comparing manual enrollment versus automated device enrollment.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Or managed Apple accounts versus regular Apple accounts, like just compare and contrast. Yeah, Google includes AI at the top now. I don't find it as reliable as ChatGPT, but it's nice that it's there. My traditional use of Google is, okay, now find the result that's actually going to give me the information I want. Now I've got to skim this page and find the heart of what I'm actually looking for. ChatGPT just basically gives you that answer. It summarizes in a much easier to scan kind of output exactly what I'm looking for. And it's so fast. So yeah, it's been really useful. The thing about it, the criticism from the beginning is like, yeah, but is it reliable? There's certain things in the output where I'm like, I want to actually check that what it told me, specific to what I asked it, is actually true. Can I rely on it to reliably recap the difference between manual enrollment and ADE or whatever the case may be? I don't know that I trust it to the same degree that I would trust a website from one of our colleagues that was giving me that answer. But for what it's worth, it's just so much easier to quickly get the answer. You have to know about the subject matter to know if you should question it. So there's that, but it's definitely one of those things where I think the more you use it, the more you just find more use cases for it and just build it in.
Yeah, it doesn't learn. The promise of these AI models is that it learns, and it learns about you. And as time goes on, you don't have to tell it these things. And I found that all that learning was out the window. Unlike telling it things like, don't do it this way, don't ever do it this way, and it'll still do it the next time I use it. So it doesn't really learn, but again, it's a time saver. And the other thing too, I mentioned on a previous show that when it was generating the HTML for my eBay ads, you got to be careful, because if it just freelances and throws up something, it looks wonderful, but you got to read the fine print. Because I think I sold an electronic device. I think it was a Dream Machine, the dome-shaped Dream Machine. And it said that it had a USB-C port on it, and it doesn't. And I didn't quite catch that, and I sold it, and the person who bought it didn't call me on it, so they probably knew what they were buying. Good. But I was like,
yeah. You want a USB port? I'll send you a dongle. What do you need? What are you trying to do with a USB? I guess I could imagine if somebody, that could bite you. They could say, I wanted to plug my printer into it and use it as a print server, like the old Airport Extremes used to do.
Or it can do the cameras, so they wanted to use that as the external drive for the camera video. Yeah,
that's a good point.
You may ask yourself why I'm using Backblaze for my new website. Backblaze, we mentioned them. We want them to get better. We're still using it. We still endorse it. Sam uses it. I use it. Joe uses it. They're not a sponsor of the show, but they're pretty good at paying affiliate codes. And so I don't have to work at it. I don't have to send anybody an affiliate link. It's there. If somebody clicks on it, great. If I sign up a new client, part of my stack includes Backblaze. I know that's not the way you go down the highway, Joe, but as timely as today's headlines, as we're talking, and this is no joke, I just got a commission for $110 from Backblaze just now.
Nice.
Yeah, and those come in every quarter now. It adds up, and the commissions don't stop. So once you send your commission, or you get your commission for selling that printer on Amazon, you don't get it every year. Whereas Backblaze, every time the client just renews,
this is
those commissions.
Yeah. It's recurring residuals, basically.
It's evergreen.
It's evergreen. Yeah. You're getting money either every month or every year or every 2 years, depending on how the client signs up. But yeah, you will be getting credit for them in perpetuity, which is really, which is very generous of them. And I think that's definitely one reason that I was encouraged to actually sign up for that as well. That's doing fairly well for me. If I look at, I'm just comparing, I'm not sure I want to give raw numbers or full numbers here, but looking at this year so far, I don't know if this is front loaded for some reason, but I'm making like 3 times. Is that right? Yeah, I'm making like 3 times the amount per month from Backblaze. Again, I'm not sure if just like my residuals are front loaded this year in the first half of the year, but yeah, it's a really good way to have some recurring revenue for something we're already doing anyway. We're recommending this constantly. Yeah, in fact, I set up a page. You have getmacbackup.com, which looks really nice. I have backblazemac.com. I took a page out of your daylightmac.com playbook. And obviously that's your goal is to just reiterate those same results. You've had really good results with daylightmac.com. I decided, backblazemac.com, it should rank in Google search results. I haven't done anything with it.
Index
it should. And learning from you on that one, although I have not made it a like single serving like website kind of thing that then has my link out, it just redirects directly to my Backblaze affiliate link. So I actually am not totally clear if that, because it's hard to see like where we're getting credit. Did I get credit for this client or that client? Now you can actually email them and they'll tell you. So you can say, hey, I referred this person. Are they enrolled? Am I getting credit for them? So they'll apparently give you that feedback manually, but there's no way to tell.
Yeah, and they don't have any reporting tool. You can't go into anywhere on a website and see what click-throughs you've gotten, how many conversions. So that's a bit of a drag. So they need to get better on that. Yeah. Oh, and one other thing, and I was very careful about this because I was bitten so badly with Amazon now, was I reached out to Backblaze and I said, what exactly will you allow for a website that has the affiliate link?
Oh, yeah.
And they're big, and their big concern is that you don't give the impression that you are Backblaze. So I was very careful to put my company link down at the bottom. And I think I have a little disclaimer on the website as well, saying we derive commission from this click-through or something like that. They can't shut you down, but they potentially could shut you down.
Yeah.
But your URL is great. I would just caution you, if you did put up a HTML website, and you could ask your friend back ChatGPT to do that for you.
Yeah.
Take you 5 minutes, get a hosting plan.
Probably worth it.
Just throw in something that you're not Backblaze.
Yeah, and that's a good point with the Amazon affiliate links we were talking about earlier. They require that as well. So I have at the bottom of the site, as an Amazon affiliate, whatever I have there, CyMac makes a commission from referral.
Yeah, they're very specific about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a requirement of that. It's interesting you brought up this topic, because I have something I've had on my list for a little while about this general topic of affiliate links and coupon codes and things like that. And I know you've got more tech stuff to talk about, but I thought this was pretty interesting. Have you seen this Honey browser extension? Does that ring a bell? It's just called Honey.
Yeah, it's awful.
Sure you've seen it a million times. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's horrible.
It is indeed pretty awful. So I saw this great video expose on this topic. It's by Megalag, Megalag, Megalag.
Okay.
I hadn't really heard of them before, but they did this kind of expose on this Honey browser extension. So the Honey browser extension, we see it all the time on client computers. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to find coupon codes to help the user get the best discount, right? To help a consumer get the best discount. But for businesses, it promises to give consumers the worst possible discount, because it lets the Honey partner, like if you're a business and you partner with Honey, right? You as the business can limit which coupon codes are available through the Honey browser extension. So they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, right? The Honey people are saying to the consumer, install this extension and you never have to search for coupon codes again. We're going to automatically put in the best deal possible. That's what they're saying to the consumer. They're saying to the business, partner with us and we will limit which deals the consumer will be able to find and use. And also we're going to discourage them from searching for other coupon codes, because we're promising the consumer that you don't have to search anymore. Don't bother looking at
Retail Me Not.
Yeah, exactly. So you might otherwise be thinking, oh, let me go check and see if I can find a coupon code. No, I've got
Coupon
Honey. I don't
Cabin.
need to do that.
Coupon Cabin.
There's a million of them. And I sometimes have good luck, and I realize most of the time it seems like
they're old and expired.
Requirements expired. Yeah. But Honey,
kind of like me. Old and expired.
Not yet. But yeah, they're talking to both sides of the mouth. So it's very interesting. So then the other thing is, because it relates to this whole affiliate link program. So then what they were doing is they are promoting themselves to like YouTube influencers, right? So the YouTube influencer will basically try to link someone to whatever they're promoting, a product they're promoting, using the influencer's own coupon
Honey
code,
affiliate code
link. Yeah, but then they're promoting them. Honey is promoting themselves to influencers also. And if you actually have the Honey browser extension installed, it will change the affiliate link to Honey's own affiliate link. So now they're making money skimming off the influencers who are promoting Honey. It's just crazy. Wow. So I just thought it was this really amazing toxic capitalism, like gone wrong or whatever, where it's just like this company is talking out of three sides of their mouth. The only one benefiting is Honey, basically owned by PayPal, of course. So yeah, you got to look up this Megalag video about the Honey browser extension. It's just fantastic. But it's, again, the one thing they were doing is they're changing the affiliate link at the end of the URL to their own thing. Wow. And this to me is probably why Amazon is so particular about this. There's got to be a referring website that gets you to that affiliate link to the Amazon product, so that Amazon can check that like you're the one that's actually referring them. You didn't just steal the address, change it to your own basically through some browser extension or whatever the case may be. So
diabolical.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really interesting.
I had no idea.
Solution.
Most of my residential customers, sometimes Nana will have it, the Honey extension. That's what she calls me, by the way, Joe. Oh, Honey. Oh, Honey.
Honey, right,
so it's a perfect name. Yeah. I very rarely see a business with it unless the front desk is using the computer and somebody's put that on. But yeah, I mean, It's just anything that junks up your browser like that. I'm like, philosophically, I share the same views as you do, Joe, of not trying to junk up things too much.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much down on browser extensions in general, except for one thing that I use in Google Chrome because it won't work anywhere else, and that's the Camelizer. You know about this? It's like Camel. Yeah, so it's a little browser extension, and you put in your Amazon product, and you click on the little camel in your browser extension, and it'll track what the price has been over the last 3 months, 6 months, and then you can set an alert. And this is a free service, and you could say, "Hey, your Woolrich socks are down to $9.99. Your hiking socks are now down to $9.99." You jump on the website, you grab the product, and they don't make a spiff from it at all. And I'm not sure exactly how they get their money, but Camel. And one other thing, one other tip, and this is not a browser extension, but you and I right now are broadcasting on StreamYard. StreamYard doesn't give us any money for this plug, but they seem to be the best browsing platform for recording video. And I said browsing platform, but podcast platform for recording video, immediately posting it to YouTube, or you can hold back the releases. Plus we use it when we edit the audio. We actually pull the audio from YouTube. We don't actually get it from StreamYard. However, StreamYard will not work in Safari. So you always have to be careful. Joe usually generates the links for our live broadcasts. And if you don't have this little thing, you're 9 times out of 10, I would open up Safari and go, oh yeah, you get the message.
I always have to remember, I copy and paste the link into Edge, the Edge browser.
So it's $10 one-time payment, and it's called Choosy, CHOOSY.app.
Okay.
And you can specify any browser you want within the Choosy configuration. You could specify a preferred browser. And then when you click on a URL, any of the ones that you put into Choosy will pop up. So for me, it's just either Safari or Chrome. But I could, if I click on a URL, I could say like, open it in Brave, open it in Firefox. So it's a very handy little extension. I've been using it now for years. I never mentioned it on the show.
Yeah.
Again, it's a one-time fee. I think you could even get it through the App Store. I'm going to check on that. No, you can't.
Nice.
So choosy.app.
That's pretty handy. That's funny you mentioned that. I was just thinking about there must be an easier way because again, I'm like having to remember anytime we do a live stream, I'm copying and pasting and I'm manually opening Edge. That's the browser I use for this, one of the recommended ones by StreamYard. And then I also use Edge for a couple of other live stream type things that I do. And I'm having to remember those, copy and paste it into Edge as well. Because certain sites, for whatever reason, they're not supporting Safari for live streaming, probably related to Apple's privacy features. Do you really want to allow your camera to be accessed? Or do you really want to, I don't know, or just they want to streamline it to like Chromium browsers, Chrome and similar. But yeah, that's a great thing to know about, to be able to just, because I just want to be able to click the link and it'll just do the right thing.
And the developer or the developers have constantly kept pace with Apple's iterations. So it's never broken or it doesn't work. Sometimes you need a restart after you do a new update, but it's terrific. And you might be using ActiveX there, Joe, in the background with your Edge browser. You think so?
Maybe. I don't know. I think that's outdated. The other thing I wanted to bring up in this topic of these affiliate links and things, you've probably seen this one too, booking.com. I'm sure you've seen it about 100 times.
Probably. Booking.com. I try to stay away from those.
Yeah, no, and I just see it on client computers, and it's usually, I'll notice it in their dock. So there must be some malware or pups, like potentially unwanted what does it stand for? Potentially,
puppies. Potentially unwanted puppies
and programs. Yeah. And because I'm like, how did it get to the dock? I'm sure there's an installer. It's not just, they just stumbled into it. They stumbled into an installer that actually installs the thing. And it's like its own browser. And I think it's based on Opera or something like that. And it just takes you to booking.com, but then it doesn't support, it doesn't update itself. So like a lot of times it won't even work by the time I see it in their dock because it's just outdated and booking.com or whatever blocks it. But I'm sure what's happening is some, again, malware type person out there is pushing these things out. It's like the more systems I can install my affiliate link for booking.com, which is, again, you do hotel bookings, airlines, whatever. And I think they're stealing whatever like affiliate referral thing from you go to Kayak, you go wherever, and it's going to like just, if you use the booking.com browser, dedicated browser to do it, it's going to take those affiliate referral bucks from the transaction.
Wow.
Yeah, there's just a ton out there. It's a scammy business, but it's also
residential clients, they go tilt, right? Once that's happened and it's not working anymore, they don't know what happened. They don't know who did it. I didn't do that. And they just don't know what to do. So you just got to come there and throw out all these extricate all the demons from their computers.
And the extensions are a potential privacy risk because they may have installed all these extensions, the Honey browser extension, whatever. Apple now requires you to allow access. Do you want this extension to work on this one website, or do you want it to work on all websites forever? Basically, that used to be the default. Like you install an extension and it just has access to every web page you visit. That's the way they function. Like it needs to be able to see the website, scrape the link, change the link to something else, whatever the way it works. Even the Camel one, it needs to look at which product you're looking at on Amazon. It needs to be able to read that entire website. So with that extension, you could potentially grant access to just Amazon.com. There's no need for this potentially suspicious extension to look at every single website you visit. You can limit that one to Amazon.com where it's actually functioning. But for other websites like Honey or whatever, it's supposed to work with any online store or many different online stores. It's going to have to look at every single website. So they've probably granted access for this potentially very scammy extension to know every website they visit. Just yet another leak of their personal data to probably data brokers, because I'm sure they're not only looking at the site you're on and changing the affiliate link to their own benefit or whatever scam they're running, they're probably also then selling the data that you're generating, like where they're tracking every site you visit and your browsing habits and whatever. They're selling that data to data brokers because these data brokers like just can't get enough data about us to learn how to show us more appropriate ads or whatever that are going to have us spend more money or argue for longer on the internet or whatever the algorithms want us to do. But they're also reselling that data. So it's just yet another reason to run lean and mean, like you're saying, and not have every extension you've ever encountered just running just in case you might want it.
Yeah, it's almost like walking through a mall or walking down, it used to be Times Square, where, you know, every couple of feet, somebody's trying to hand you another leaflet or to go to see this show or go to do something. So there's all these people competing for your attention. And it's hard for the average person not to, like you say, just to get on with whatever they're doing. The average home user is just clicking through stuff just to get the stuff out of the way and agreeing to things that they probably wouldn't normally agree upon if you took the time, or if they took the time to actually understand what they're clicking on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, going back to another, let's talk about the positive incarnation of this. Another company I recently found that accepts an affiliate referral kind of program, it seems like an easy one to get approved for, is Uptime Robot. One we've talked about on the show a few times for monitoring your networks. It can also monitor your client servers and other things, websites. So you turned me onto this status page option. So I've been now starting to promote to my clients, hey, we have a network monitoring service where we can be alerted if your website's down or your network is down. We can also monitor your server if they have a Mac server. We can also monitor your company's website and alert you if there's an issue there. And we can not only be notified and alert you, but we can actually just share this status page with you. You can see the status of your site and whatever else and see when it was down and subscribe to alerts when it goes down, et cetera. So that's all built into Uptime Robot. And so I thought recently when you also pointed out that with the latest unified network app update, you can now import a file of IP addresses. So Uptime Robot used to be like, hey, these 5 addresses, you just manually put them in your unified network, because to take a step back, your unified network has to, you configure it for dynamic DNS. You then configure like a list of IP addresses that you can then allow through the firewall to be able to ping your gateway. And then just a few little configuration things that I recapped on our website on Command Control Power. But then at some point, they just changed to requiring like a whole laundry list of IP addresses that they may ping you from various places.
Nearly 50.
Yeah, and it won't work unless you have all of those supported, because they might ping you from one that's not on your list, and it's your gateway's not going to allow it, and so they're going to count you as down. So you really need to be able to put in all these. And I'm not going to copy and paste 50 addresses into 20 different client networks or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't scale.
It doesn't scale from 5. It used to be 5, now it's 50 or whatever. Yeah, that definitely doesn't scale. Finally, Unify came out with the update. You tried the beta. You did the very important work of testing the beta and figuring out where things went sideways. But I also tested it on my own home network and luckily didn't have any issues. I know you weren't quite as lucky as I was there, but
yeah, I didn't share this on the show, but let me just interject. The ones that went sideways, it doesn't really matter now because it's a released version, were the cloud keys, the old cloud keys, not the small cloud keys, but the little boxy
plus or whatever. The one with the little drive inside. Oof. Okay. So I didn't realize that detail. So it was just that specific model. So I've actually noticed I have 1 or 2 clients with that model still. I've been really trying to get them to upgrade and they're just deferring it, things are mostly working. But monitoring that network, I'm not sure if the network is actually going down or it's just too slow to respond to pings, because it goes down and it comes back up within 2 minutes most of the time. So just with that older cloud key. Whereas all my other networks with it, embedded controller gateway, whether it's the Dream Machine Pro, SE, Cloud, the Ultra, whatever the model is, Cloud Gateway, Ultra, Max, whatever, all the keywords, all those work. But except for that, again, that original cloud key. And even then it works. It's just that occasionally it's reporting as down when I'm not sure it's actually down. So going back to it, now that they've released this update, I've taken the time to import this new file from Uptime Robot. So you can download this CSV of all the IP addresses. Unify can import that CSV. Works great. It went from me not being able to use this and having to mute all of those different monitors in Uptime Robot to just being able to import the CSV file, turn the monitors back on, and they work. They're almost 100% reliable. So it's a great feature. So getting back to it, Uptime Robot has an affiliate program. So I signed up, and now I'm planning to update our blog post to give these details with the new instructions for importing the CSV with the new software version. Also maybe add a little thing like about your advice about the status page. There's a few ways to do it we can talk about, but why not now include the affiliate link as the link? So if anybody goes to our website to look at my instructions for setting all of this up, click Uptime Robot link, now I will profit. Not us, but I will profit.
I officially give you permission on the show live here to use your affiliate link for the instructions that you provide to our listeners, because I'm probably not going to go down that affiliate path with Uptime Robot. However, what you're describing is a great thing. So as Joe said, you could leverage this. You could take this simple implementation and leverage it into either a monthly recurring charge for the client or a yearly charge. And what's profound about it is that if you get another domain, like in my case, I have a domain called macworks.site. I established a monitoring page for you that you could be anywhere in the world. You could see if your office network is up, if your website's running. So that's another thing you can add to the page. They'll also monitor your SSL expiration. I don't know if you could actually see that on the page, but you as the admin, Joe, would get a notification if their SSL is going to expire. You could turn that on or turn that off. So anyway, the client can go to, let's say the client's Pretendco. So pretendco.macworks.site. It loads in like a regular web page. And this is with a subscription to Uptime Robot. So they have a couple of different subscription levels, and I forget which one I chose. The cheapest probably, but this is this is powerful. You could have one client just simply pay for your subscription, and you could leverage this out to multiple clients, and that's great. So what it looks like is like typically when you go to any major player out there, if they have a status page, maybe it won't look like the iCloud status page, but it looks plenty much like what I've seen for other web-based services. When they have a status page, it looks just like that, where you get the little green status bar and you could see where it's gone black or
I just sent you a little redacted version of my status page because I actually turned my status page into a little graphic to put on my website where I'm illustrating that we have this network monitoring feature that includes a status page similar to this one. So the way can I interject here? Please, yeah.
I would share this with you folks, but Joe basically sent me a completely redacted page. So it's like worse than getting the files from Trump on the Kennedy assassination. Everything is black.
Yeah,
on this
yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's just the client names that are black because this is the
Yeah.
version I shared on my
Yeah.
site to my clients. So what this shows, because
all right,
yeah.
yeah, please go. All right.
So the idea is for me, this is our internal like dashboard
Sure.
showing all of my various clients. And for the client facing one, obviously I can say, hey, client A, here's a status page that shows the status of your network, your server, and your website address. And so, and it's just recapping like you said, the little green bar showing that it's online, and maybe there was a little blip over here with the red bar. So they can have that for their own internal reference. I use this for my reference, and I'm not sure, like you have to actually upgrade to a business plan, or I'm not sure what it's called through Uptime Robot to get more than 3 status pages. So I haven't needed to do that yet.
Which I did do. Yeah.
You did do that.
But
okay.
it didn't break the bank.
No, it wasn't terrible, but it was one of these things where, okay, if I can get by with just the 3, and if I get 1 or 2 clients who actually sign up for this, where I need the extra status pages for their client-facing stuff, I used a .live address for mine. So I'm basically using Namecheap. This is all part of my instructions that I'll link people to at some point. But through Namecheap, you can set up a custom URL, and then subdomains of that URL, like you just described, client name dot your company dot whatever. So mine is client name dot cymac.live. So I have a status one. I have individual ones for different companies. That's the dynamic DNS service as well. We used to pay for Dyn.com. And
I think it's 50 subdomains, which was terrific.
I think that's included with the registration. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, you're not really. Yeah, you're not even paying for that.
Exactly.
The other thing on my particular status page, I'm monitoring. I run a Plex server off of my Synology, so it could tell me when the Plex server's up or the Plex server's down. Streamy, a web streaming service that I use locally that I tie in products. There's one caveat. If you're listening to this and you're saying like, "Ooh, this is for me. When's Joe going to update that instruction page?" And you had brought this to my attention several months back, Joe, in a previous show. And this is why you got to listen every week, folks.
That's right. Don't miss a show.
If you skip around, we're going to not always have the luxury of repeating the good, juicy tidbits. But as Joe pointed out, I couldn't make a client work. And I don't know if you were using Uptime Robot to discover this, but the client was on a shared IP. There's a business client, and there's a thing going around. I forget what the acronym was. Joe, you brought it up on that show.
I'll have to look
where your client can have a business connection. They can't do this with a static IP, but if it's a business connection and they have a dynamic IP, they can share the IP with other businesses, which is absolutely crazy it actually works.
Yeah,
but it does work. But you cannot ping that client network. So if you sell this to a client, you better be darn sure that you can ping their network before you sell them the status page. Because we've got a client that has fiber, and we can't ping the network.
Yeah. This also happens with the double NAT. So I have a residential clients with the modem router combo unit that comes from the ISP. And we've talked in circles about this. It used to be you could just recommend a modem, a standalone modem. The ISP could provide it. Our local ISP doesn't seem to want to or be able to, or really, I think that they still stock this part and they can technically use it. But most of the times the people that show up at the house in their truck, they don't have one. So you have to plan ahead. It's a whole complicated thing. It just sounds, it's like it's the right outcome, but it's really hard to get to that point. It seems like we're also in some cases recommending a standalone modem, just buy it from Amazon, and it usually works well. But if they have this double NAT solution, they also can't ping. You can't, I don't know, maybe you could open a port on the modem pointed to your gateways to pass the pings through. Maybe that's possible. I'm not really sure if they would support that. And also the problem with those devices is that at any given time, they could get a firmware update or just have like their configuration flashed essentially, where those custom port forwarding rules or turning Wi-Fi off on the built-in router, that stuff gets reset and then it goes back to factory default. So I don't trust those devices. And in those cases, I've basically given up the ability to monitor those networks. Or like you said, the feature is called CGNAT, or carrier grade NAT, carrier grade network address translation. And basically it means that a single IP address can be shared by multiple businesses or multiple locations. Somehow CGNAT is handling, if this request is coming into this shared IP address, it's meant for business A because they're the ones who requested that response or whatever. So it's managing that on the carrier or the ISP level. But you're right that it means that the IP address that's reported as the WAN IP address is not just used for that one client. And so therefore, yeah, you can't ping that address. You'll sometimes see the WAN IP address reported in the Unify gateway might vary from the WAN IP address reported on the client side, or if you do like a what is my IP type situation, because it can change.
We see that.
Yeah, so it's really tricky. And the only solution I found there is just to recommend, like you said, if they're using a dynamic address, that doesn't work. If they subscribe to a static address, that's what solves it. So there's one local fiber ISP, and if they offer a static address, and it's not expensive, and it's the appropriate solution for a business. It's funny, we used to recommend that for VPNs, but I think it's good even if you just want to be able to monitor the network status these days.
But that's a hard sell. If you're dealing with administration in some small business, it sounds to me like you want me to do this because it's going to make it easier for you.
Exactly.
You're trying to sell me something and it doesn't work, and now I've got to spend even more money to make your thing work.
I've tried to make the pitch also for cellular internet backup. It's so simple. Unify. You just pay $200 or $300 for the hardware, plug it in anywhere on the network, configure it, boom. You get a certain, what is it, like 1 gigabyte or 5 gigabytes included, and then you pay per gigabyte after, or you have them sign up for a plan. They like the idea of that, but what I basically want to sell them is a static IP address for this purpose, if they need one for monitoring, plus cellular internet backup, because we don't want them to go down, and we want to be able to know what's happening. If the ISP is down, the cellular kicks in, and we can then connect to the network and see, okay, it says the modem's down, whatever. We can at least have some visibility into what's going on. Yeah, it's for our benefit there as well. And the third thing is pay us for the actual network monitoring, where we get these alerts from the issues that you're having. We also then, we can track the downtime. So if we see every night it's going down at this time, or maybe you're not noticing the outages in the day-to-day, but there's an issue with the connection, we can monitor for that. And we can regularly check it and do updates as needed manually, or whatever the case may be. So we roll all of that into what we're calling network monitoring. But they like the appeal of backup internet, but they don't really want this optional feature of us monitoring their network. So it's been a hard sell for me. But of course, then their network goes down, and it's, our network's down, you have to fix this right away. If they were signing up for these services, we would be alerted to the fact that it's down.
You would have known already,
visibility, and we can monitor. We'd have the status, whatever. It's tricky. That's a good time to maybe try to make the sale. It's not this would have prevented it, but if you got the backup internet, it might have prevented it. The network monitoring gives us more visibility, but it's too late now. Yeah, it's a hard sell.
I got into this by initially pitching probably the middle of last year, a very nominal fee. I think like $125 to monitor the network and do auto
per
updates.
Year or per month?
Yeah, it wasn't very much. I'd have to look at it again. And it was either you're in or you're out. And the people that were out in my Unify portal, I just moved them to an unsupported window screen.
Oh, nice.
So they don't get updates. They just sit there, and I know if they're up or they're down, and I still get notifications, but I'm not updating those. They just sit there, and then someday, maybe not ultimately, but they're not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. Yeah.
It's amazing. We lost a client 3 years ago, and we parted ways. It was something about it just wasn't a fit for our costs. He was phasing out parts of his business, and we were willing to negotiate just a little bit, but not enough to keep him on, and we were okay to part ways. So parted ways amicably. We said we installed your new Unify network, we manage it. You'll need a new consultant to take that over. It's important to keep it up to date, whatever. Let us know. Keep about the handoff, just the normal stuff you do when you're offboarding a client, very small client. Basically never heard from him again. And the network is still in our Unify portal, has never been updated. Uptime was insane. We did a great job deploying the network and setting it up because it just works. But it's a concern for me. And it's not my responsibility to reach out and say, hey, you never really hired somebody? What's going on? Or you have this network, but you don't really have access to it. He never said, can you invite me into the portal so I can do it myself? Can you?
Yeah, they wouldn't know to ask.
Yeah. It's one of these things where that used to be the way networks were handled by definition. You install a little Netgear, whatever, and then you just forget about it.
Yeah, like now, a refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. It was like an appliance. You just plug it in and it just does its job, and maybe you replace it if it breaks. But these days, it's obviously really important to stay up to date for security reasons, just for functionality. But yeah, it's interesting to me that this stuff just sits there and people never follow up. But I made it a point, if they didn't sign up with a few rare exceptions, but to turn off the notifications, because I just started getting really annoyed that this thing fell offline and came back. This thing, the network is down or whatever. And it's like, they're not paying me to see that, to care about that.
Yep.
They had their chance, whatever. But I like your idea, because I still have them in one big list, but the idea of segmenting those out into, I guess you call it a group or a site or a whatever.
Yeah, you could just in that global look, you could just create a new site and just move them to them. You could call it slackers and just
unsupported.
Unsupported. Unsupported slackers.
Some of them are willing to have us connect. We'll reach out to them and say, hey, your network needs some updates or needs a proactive restart or this and that. Sometimes they will have us do it. They'll say, sure, go ahead. How about after 10 p.m. on this day or whatever? And we'll do it. I'll just connect in and manually do that. And then I send them a bill. I charge them on a one-off basis. But from doing those on a regular basis, I backed out of that, the average amount of time I'm spending on a regular basis to keep a network up to date every couple months or whatever. And I had to come up with a higher number for my monthly charge for that based on the time it actually takes just to cover my time. They're not getting the bill when I do it now because it's included in the plan, but the plan charge has to cover the time I'm spending on average.
Okay. I'm not doubting you go in there and you make tweaks and you make adjustments and stuff like that. I just have these unifies these days to auto update.
I do that now as well.
Yeah. I'm charging them for just making sure that it's up. And I have like you do, just a central screen, and I get a notification if something goes down.
It's true. I based that number when I was doing all the updates manually because I didn't trust.
Yeah, we had to.
Updates.
I remember that.
So now the time is more toward, getting these alerts, intercepting it, figuring out what needs to be done, if anything, dealing with it when it comes up. Yeah, that's a good price. Are you finding, what's your uptake on the $125 a year kind of nominal fee for doing that?
I'm not sure
what takers. Are you getting a few people?
Oh yeah, anybody that's in that main splash screen. I made it attractive enough where I could share with the folks listening or anybody who wants to reach out to me, my verbiage for this. But it was, I didn't get any pushback. And the people that didn't respond, they were just moved into the unsupported page. And that's that. And they just don't get updated. Yes.
Deadbeats. Yeah.
Slackers and deadbeats. There's our show title.
Yeah. That's right. Nice, man. That's some good stuff. I'm always looking for ways, just going back to the affiliate income and selling some additional services, which again, I find a very high value in. And like you said, the client sometimes interprets that as this is more for you than for me. Sometimes when I'm too bought into the value of the service, I think everybody should sign up for network monitoring. Everybody should pay for backup internet. You should have a static IP to enable all this stuff. It does sound like it's for my peace of mind, but I really do believe in those services. Sometimes they don't get it, but those are ways we can have a little bit more recurring revenue and overall yearly income. So I'm always looking for ways to just push those in the right direction, those numbers.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good topic.
And if I think of the arc of the show that we just listened to, Joe and I didn't plan this ahead of time, but there were certainly a lot of ways that you could probably make a little bit more extra money or look at your business a little bit differently and leverage a couple of opportunities. So if you do decide to do that and you do make a little bit of coin and you've been listening to Command Control Power all these years for free, you might want to throw a little bit of a subscription our way because we would certainly appreciate you. And we come to you every single week with some exciting stuff. And if you're a subscriber, also you get access to the shows that are broadcast without interruption, without hearing a best of. So every time I mention this on other shows, every time you hear a best of, there's actually a fresh new show with nice little tidbits and morsels like you hear today, or problem solving with clients and handling difficult situations. So we'd love to have you subscribe.
We really would. And that show is behind the paywall, which not only incentivizes people to subscribe, which is part of the reasoning. The other reason, though, is that hiding it behind the paywall gives us a little bit more freedom to talk a little bit more freely about sharing certain numbers publicly, talking not publicly with our followers only, sharing client stories, of course, not including any client details, but the saga of what we have to deal with, managing clients, managing employees. And so there's a lot more kind of meat in some of those shows that you may find interesting as someone out there supporting clients, supporting employees, or looking to grow, looking for new ways of thinking about how to manage your company and make a little bit more revenue. Yeah, we definitely invite you to subscribe, especially like Jerry said, if you have derived actual value from the shows that we've produced where you put into action some of these tips. Maybe you spin up your own little referral page to promote a specific service and get a little bit of recurring revenue on the side, or you're a page where you're putting in recommendations for your affiliate links like we've discussed, where you can make a little bit of money on the products you're already recommending. If you put any of those ideas in practice, we would love to hear that it was successful for you, and you can also demonstrate that with your support for our show as well at commandcontrolpower.com. Click on support. We'd love to have you follow us on Patreon and support us that way. Thanks, everybody, for listening to another episode of Command Control Power, and we will talk to you next week.
Command, Control, Power. Jerry does his voices of customers of all kinds.
Am I on the cloud?
Joe spins